All right, welcome back to Technique Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about three-step turns. So there's a lot of different contexts where you could use three-step turns, and we're going to have a course or a series on all the different kinds of turns there could be. This is our quick kind of, few minutes on this specific turn type. And this is one of the categories of traveling turns, where a lot of turns are done stationary, like a spot turn or a swivel or something like that. So three-step turns, they travel across the floor, even if it's just a little bit. You're not staying in one spot the entire time. So we'll briefly talk about two different kinds of three-step turns. We'll put it more into like rhythm and Latin at this point. Not the same version couldn't be used for maybe smooth as well too. So version number one, I'm going to talk about foot directions here first. My left foot here, I'm going to walk forward on my left foot at this point in time, right? So typically at the three-step turn, I'm facing one direction. I already start and go move forward in the step. I could go forward here and then start a three-step turn as well. Typically they rotate 3/4 of a turn, but not always, most of the time. So let's say I start facing this direction here. I go forward on my left foot here. This first version is I turn on this left foot, so I get most of the rotation out of the way immediately. Then I close my feet together to finish the rest of the turn and then take a side step to exit. So entirety it was one whole turn. Like I started facing this way and I ended facing this way, but the rotation itself really only went, this didn't really count because I'm just taking a step forward here, my quarter return to the left. So I walk forward in this left foot. I now rotate my shoulders first to initiate rotation, which I do typically, right? So I turn my shoulders first at this point here. I try to get most of the turn out of the way on the very first step, up to, let's say, a half of a turn. Where here now I can close my feet, and as I close them, I finish the last quarter of a turn, and then my side step at the end is really just I should be pretty on balance. I can recover on this side step here, but I should be done with the rotation before I take that side step exiting. If I do it one time facing you here, I'm facing you first. I already go and establish my new direction here in the forward step. I turn my shoulders first as I get onto this foot. This individual kind of turn is a swiveling action. So I turn my shoulders first. I get about half of the turn, up to half of the turn done first. I close and switch my feet here to finish the last quarter of a turn, and then take my side step facing my new direction. So that's version number one, right? This is our brief, quick explanation here. Version number two is I could take a side step instead of closing my feet and make the rotation a bit more continuous instead of feeling like I have to zip it around and close my feet. When I close my feet, the turn happens much quicker and sharper, but what I'm gonna do here is I can then take a side step instead and then another side step out of it where I traveled a little bit more and my turn was a bit more continuous instead of snapping it done right away on one spot and taking the side step. What I can do is I'll take the forward step, I'll rotate only about a quarter of a turn. So I can now take a small side step on my right foot. Instead of turning more and closing, I under-rotated it, take a small side step on my right foot, and on this right foot now I'm doing more of a pivoting action here. So I turn my shoulders to the left to now make up the half a turn on that foot, and then I get to recover here in the side step of my very last third step here, right? So I'm going 1, 2, turning 3. So your choice here is, do I want to make the half of a turn, which is the majority of the 3/4 of a turn, on the very first step or on the second step? I can make a half a turn on my first step here. So I kind of zipped it around a little bit quicker, close my feet, and then finish the last quarter. Or I can go forward, only do a quarter of a turn here and take a side step, and then do a half of a turn on that side step to then end on the third step on my side here. Let's say I go in the other direction. So my right foot's gonna go forward this time. I go forward my right foot. I will turn most of the way here and close my feet, and then take a side step at the very end. Or I can walk forward, take a side step, turn, take another side step here. The last quick thing I'll talk about is spotting, which is very important. The two-step process to spotting is typically look in the direction you're traveling and then look at your goal or where you're gonna end up, right? So in this case, I'm traveling this direction. Even though I'm facing you now and I'm gonna face you at the end, I'm traveling this way, so I'm gonna look where I'm going, right? This isn't the only approach to spotting. It's probably just the most basic and easiest to keep you balanced, right? So I look where I'm going. I start to turn here and I keep my eyes in that direction, whether I take a side step or close my feet. And then I look at my goal, which is the place I want to face at the very end of the turn, right? So I look where I'm going and then see my goal at the very end instead of seeing everything along the way as I go to make this rotation. Regardless of which type I use, whether I close the feet or take the side step, I'm going to use the same method of spotting each time to look where I'm going and then look where I want to end up. So that is our very brief summary of the two different kinds of three-step turns. We'll do a whole series on all these different kinds of turns and kind of break it down more in depth than what I did here, but just kind of a synopsis for our Technique Tuesday. And we hope you look at more of our Technique Tuesdays and stick around for more ball and feed videos. Have a great rest of your week.